Hi, everybody, and welcome to day 5 of our self awareness mini course. You guys have made it to the end of the week, and I'm so proud of you. Don't forget, tomorrow I will be jumping on live at 12 for a bonus session. There was 2 bonus sessions, one last Sunday and then tomorrow, to just kind of wrap up the things that we've done today, to answer any questions that you might have regarding what we've done and all of the work that you guys have put in over the last week, and just to tie up any loose ends, right? Answer any questions you have about your next steps, anything really, or just chat about your experience. So every day that we've come together, I have felt your energy. I have felt the excitement that we've brought to this experience. I've fielded questions along the way in email and on the Facebook group, and I'm just so proud of all of you for being brave enough to step into this work. That's something we talked about on the very first day, that this work is not always easy, really, for everybody. And so it does take a lot of courage to be able to step into this and just look at ourselves in this way. And it's not really our natural way to do this kind of thing. This is typical of people in recovery, I think, or people who are in recovery that want to actually work a recovery program of sorts. So this is kind of typical behavior, but it's not necessarily our natural way to be digging around on the inside and like figuring out who we are and asking other people for feedback and all these things. So what you guys are doing is actually kind of outside of the ordinary, and I love that. I love that because people who do things that are outside of the ordinary do excel, right? They make bigger things in their lives. They excel in their workplace, in their families. They have more peace and contentment on the inside, which is extremely successful. If you're anything like me, or the girl that I was when I was drinking and using back along many years ago, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have peace and contentment on the inside. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't have a good sense of self, and I certainly didn't know what my core values were. My perception of my world around me was completely skewed, right? This is a disease of perception. So my idea about what other people thought about me or how I was showing up in the world was often very wrong. So if you're anything like me, or you experienced that or are still experiencing that, then you know the importance of doing this kind of work to learn more about how to be better in those areas, right? How to develop that peace and serenity on the inside so that you can be comfortable in your own skin, so that you can love your life in recovery. And that's my whole thing. I want everybody that comes in contact with me and in my community to love their lives in recovery, because why the heck did you get sober if you're not going to love your life in recovery? Now, it's not always easy, okay? There's certainly things happen. This is not easy, but it is very simple, and I want you guys to be able to have the tools to assess things in a very real way in your life on a regular basis, to know that you can live this very kind of amazing, simple lifestyle, even when things get really difficult. Okay. So today is day 5. We are going to look into how do we maintain all of this. Okay. We've done a ton of stuff over the last few days. You guys have learned. Hopefully, you're looking at your homework and you're really digging into that. But I understand that it's a lot. I've said it every single day. Everything I've given you in the workbook, in the bonus material, and in our content together when we're live is a lot of content to consume and absorb and work on all at the same time. That's, of course, why I would always have next steps for you, because there's just too much, there's not enough time to go over and to really do the things that I'm asking you to do in this week. But I'm hoping that you're scratching the surface, that you're getting your mind going, that the wheels are turning, right? That you're starting to put things in place and understand a little bit more about yourself so that you can move forward in this, well, self-awareness path, and building that confidence that's going to help move your sobriety from good to amazing, right? Because again, why did we get sober in the first place? We didn't get sober to be a bump on a log, or to just have mundane lives, or to just get through white knuckling it, right? We got sober so we could live our lives well. We got sober so that we could show up for our people, so we can be good parents, so we can take care of our own parents if need be, right? So we can show up for our spouses, and in our workplace, in our churches, and wherever we live, wherever we hang out. So we can show up as our very best sober selves with that peace and contentment on the inside. And this is an everyday thing. This is not something that just we do one time and then we're like, oh, I got it. I've arrived. No, ma'am, this is something we have to do every day. And then some days are harder than others. Some periods of time are harder than others. We go through ages and stages. Sometimes we might be dealing with a physical challenge. Sometimes we might have a family challenge, or we're dealing with grief and loss. There's a lot of stuff, or just regular old parenting stuff. Your kid forgot this, or you've got a million appointments, or you're just stressed at work. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on in life, sober or not, that challenge us. And so what I'm challenging you to do is to really learn who you are, right? And to find those little nuances, those elements of um, understanding about yourself that you can put into place on a daily basis so that when you're walking through your day, you understand your reactions to things. You can intuitively discern your emotional experience in that situation. If you don't, you know how to get to that place. You can also ask for help. You know how to say, this is my need. This is who can help me get my needs met, and then actually follow through with that. I mean, these are life skills that not everybody follows through with. You probably know some people like that, right? Who don't do that. And so this is an opportunity for you, because you've been so courageous in stepping into this experience in the first place, to really move your life into a completely different trajectory, right? Being rocketed into the third dimension with awareness of yourself, understanding how others perceive you, making sure you can really identify and then break down any barriers that are preventing you from being self-aware, which we talked about extensively this week. And then now we're just going to dive into, how do we keep doing this on a regular basis? So what are the tools for maintaining regular self-awareness? How do we put all this in place, right? So I want you to just keep it in the forefront of your mind that we are called, in my view, as sober women, because that's my specialty, right? That's who my community is, but really for all people, but I'm speaking specifically to us. So as sober women, we are called to be regularly in tune with ourselves. Okay, we're not like our other fellows. We are not the same. We have some special needs that make it impossible for us to maintain sobriety, let alone peace and serenity, without doing some daily things to take care of ourselves. Okay. So I want you to make sure that, I think you probably already know this by now if you've been around for any length of time, which most of you guys have. You know that whatever was happening in your life before sobriety, that BS time, I think I've told you my life is divided into two, right? Before sobriety and after sobriety. Whatever was going on in that before sobriety time wasn't really working, right? That's why we were drinking and using and doing God knows what other things, because we didn't have the regular tools of self-awareness and understanding to put into place and keep us sober and safe and sane. We just didn't. And that's why we do this work, right? That's why we learn about ourselves. That's why I talk about negative thinking patterns and breaking those down. That's why I post things in my Facebook group that challenge you and also let you know that you're not alone. So we are called, if we want to live well in sobriety, which I know all of us do, and also kind of create that insurance for ourselves that we won't pick up a drink or a drug today, there are things we need to regularly have in our lives. And one of the important parts, and please don't tune me out as you hear me using the words over the next few minutes, okay? I don't want you to check out. I want you to stay with me when you hear words that you don't like. I want you to just hear them and receive them, and then just go with me, okay? So one of the things that's very important is learning how to slow down our minds and our bodies. Okay, this was very hard for me. I don't know if anybody here is like me. I, especially in my younger days, I'm a little bit better now, was very high strung. I was hyper. I could never turn my mind off, even in sobriety for years. I could not sit still. I was constantly moving. I did not know how to be in a space that was quiet without either a radio or TV on or doing something. I really couldn't, I didn't like being alone. And if I was, I always had to have some kind of background noise or distraction happening. So for me, slowing down my mind and body was very challenging. It's better now because I've really worked on it and maybe I'm just getting old, but it's challenging for some of us with personality styles who are always on the go or who have brains that are constantly turning. So I want you to just go with me, okay? Just hang in there. So we know that life is full of these ever shifting kind of worries and distractions. We're consuming constant media and information. We're getting hit with like, this person is sick or this person died or this in the media or this political thing or whatever. We're just constantly being pulled in a lot of directions around worries and just life stuff. And to do the introspection that's necessary to improve our self awareness, we have to be able to shut all that out, right? And then we also have to, oops, sorry. We also have to be able to maintain a sense of peace and calm, as well as humility. Okay. And what I mean by that is when we're getting feedback, sometimes it might sting a little, right? Hopefully, the people that we're getting feedback from are safe people. I know we've talked about that all week. The ones that I want you to talk to are people you know are going to protect your heart in a good way, but also provide you with constructive criticism. But even if it's constructive and the person does it perfectly, if we're in a certain kind of way or we have a specific type of personality style, that feedback or words, they might sting a little bit. So we need to be able to maintain a sense of calm and humble ourselves. Now, humbling ourselves doesn't mean that we're less than. Okay, this word gets a bad rap, I think, in modern recovery world. I don't believe that that's what it means at all. It means that we're not better than anybody else. We're just not. We're not better than anybody else. I don't care if you're the president of your company or you're the president of the United States or you're whatever. We're all human beings. So none of us is better than anybody else. And so when we're receiving that feedback, we need to humble ourselves, meaning receive it, take it in. If it stings a little, no, that's okay. And be willing to talk about it then. Okay. What about this bothers you? Why does this sting a little? Well, it stings a little because maybe you do know in some parts of you, maybe the unconscious level, that it is true, but it's difficult to hear it. Okay. And that's why this kind of mindfulness work and being completely in tune with yourself in these ways that I'm going to talk about every single day is very helpful, because if you're not, you might not be in a mental space or a physical space even, or emotional space to be able to receive the world or feedback or just life in a good way, right? So then, now of course there are times, I don't know about you, but like, I know we're women, so hormones can sometimes creep in, and for me there are times when I feel like I'm more sensitive than others and I might be more emotionally driven because of like a hormone structure. Sometimes when we're overtired, like I feel like a lot of the time, sometimes from running my life, I get overtired. And so then we might be less tolerant of different emotional states, right? So we have to be mindful of these things. And that's where this mindfulness work and self awareness daily work comes into play to help you stay in touch with those things and then recognize patterns, figure out what are the best tools for combating those things for you personally, because we're all just slightly different, and then putting them in place. Okay. So even the routines, like we started out, if you saw me on our very first day, which was last Sunday, it was a bonus day. I talked about using a routine called STFU, and it wasn't the cuss word version, right? It stands for sensations, thoughts, feelings, and understanding. It's an exercise in other woman in our group that I've collaborated with shared with me that she shares with some of her clients and tells them to kind of post that somewhere and regularly go through those four things throughout the day, a couple times a day. So checking, like stopping yourself maybe at like 9 in the morning or 5 in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and then like 9 at night or something. Checking in. How am I? How does my body feel? What are the sensations happening in my body? Where's the tension and tightness? What are my thoughts like right in this moment? What are my emotions like? What is my understanding of all of this like? Am I confused? Am I just beaten down? Am I frustrated? So just checking in with yourself regularly and getting used to doing that kind of self-analysis takes you already to a higher level of understanding, like above and beyond what most people are doing. Okay. So when we do this stuff, remember, like, I think also whether you got sober in AA or you've even used a 12-step program or anything, you're here now. And so sobriety, being a sober woman presents a unique opportunity for you to grow and learn in very specific ways in a community of other people who are doing that. If you didn't have this and you're just a regular girl walking through your life and doing your job and your parenting and all that, I mean, yes, there are support systems available and there are, classes you can take. There are certainly a million books you can read. There are therapists and friends. I would still argue that we have it better, that we have the opportunity through so many different forms of fellowship and programs to do this work, right? So this is one of the blessings of sobriety in my view. We got sober and wow, now you have my Facebook group alone has 1,300 women in it, right? There's 1,300 sober women in there just hanging out, reading people's posts, posting things, commenting. There's a bunch of other Facebook groups too that have tens of thousands of women in them, right? So I just don't know that there are other facets of life that offer the kind of level of learning and self-growth that you can have as in the sober community. That's just my plug for sobriety, right? So checking in with yourself is just it needs to be a part of our daily routine. That's part of slowing down the mind, slowing down the body, and just be getting used to self-analysis because it's not a natural thing to do because generally people float through life and they don't even pay any attention to it. And then also, in my view, and what I teach the women that I work with is adding in some type of short meditation experience on a very daily basis is valuable to help you work through the here and now, right? So it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be dark room sitting in the Om position. It's just I call it a meditation experience, but you can call it routine. You can call it, I don't care what you call it, right? It could just be, you can be whatever you want. I like the word meditation because it just kind of encompasses it all. So it might mean creating something. It might be willing to sit by yourself and just notice your body and your breath and the space that you're taking up right now. I'm talking about like 2 minutes or 5 minutes or less. I'm not saying you have to do it for 30 minutes. That would be very painful for some people. It would be difficult. We want to set you up for success. So I always say, like, let's start with really small, 2 to 5 minutes. Set a timer so that you don't have to be looking at the clock and you can just literally sit, focus on the breath, focus on your body, and then just notice the information you're taking in with all of your senses. This is definitely a form of self-care in a very, very specific way. And it gets better and better the more you do it. And then you can start adding it into your evening routine. I always love this in the morning. I think it's very important in the morning routine. You can add it into your evening routine. You can add it into your work day, or maybe you on your ride home from work. There's also ways to use this type of experience meditation in an active form. So I call it active meditation, like walking. So I talk about that in the Sober Freedom Inner Circle. I'm just using walking meditation for people like me who struggle with, sitting quietly, or used to anyway. Something like walking or being engaged in some sort of low level activity, but that your mind isn't really involved in. just your body is moving, right? And so your mind can still be floating off into space to notice all of the sights and sounds and smells around you, as well as how your body feels and what thoughts come in and out. So, I would like to just for 2 minutes quickly lead you through a short guided meditation. Okay, so that you can experience it. If you've never done this before, I want you to know how it feels. If you've done it many times, then you already know. You can put me on mute or turn me off, whatever you want to do. But either way, I want to just ask you for 2 minutes to just close your eyes and just let me guide you in a short, calming relaxation exercise. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to take that deep breath in through your nose, deep into your belly, filling it all the way up. And then slowly, slowly releasing it. I want that to be about 7 to 10 counts. Deep belly breaths in through the nose, deep into the belly, filling it all the way up. You can place your hands on your belly and feel the slow and steady rise and fall to ground yourself a little more in your body. And then slowly, slowly releasing it. I want you to begin to notice the space that you're in right now. With your eyes closed, feel how you are sitting on your chair or your sofa. Notice your feet firmly planted on the ground. If your hands are resting on your knees or hanging by your side. How much space are you taking up right now? Continue to take those deep belly breaths into the nose and slowly exhaling. Allow your mind and body to relax, loosening up the neck and the shoulders, releasing the tension from the jaw, removing the tongue from the top of the mouth. Allowing all that tension from the muscles to slip out of your body into the earth below you, out of your fingertips, out of your toes. Allow your mind to wander. Thoughts will come in and out, not stopping on anyone in particular, just noticing them. They come in and out. If you have a peaceful place that you like to go to, either real or imagined, you can take your mind and your body to that peaceful place now. Really step into that experience. Maybe it's a beach or the woods or your bed, something else completely. Noticing the sights and sounds and smells around you in that place. Just feeling completely comfortable there. And take one more deep belly breath into the nose, deep into the belly, filling it all the way up. And just know this safe place that you use, this peaceful place, is yours to use anytime you choose, anytime you feel stress or anxiety. You can take yourself right to that space and allow your mind and body to calm down just like we've done now. Wiggle your fingers and your toes and come back into the room, into the present moment. Notice how you feel a little different than when we started. Okay, so that was literally I think 3 minutes or less. It was definitely between 2 or 3 minutes, but you can see how it was very relaxing. I hope for you, soothing. You were really releasing the tension from your mind and body, just allowing yourself to be quiet. There are lots of other opportunities for this. There are apps you can buy like Headspace and Relax Melodies. There are other programs. I use one called Meditation Magic. There are YouTube videos. There's so much content around this for free that you can access right now. So, or you can make up your own. You could record your own voice doing exactly what I just did. So then you're replaying it back to yourself. The point is to create space daily for you to have some quiet time, sometimes multiple times a day. As you get better at this, self-awareness will start to come into the picture. You'll start to have regular thoughts, feelings, and emotions float in and out, and you'll be aware of them. You'll begin to notice them. Self-awareness might come in to tell you this kind of self-care is really necessary in your life. You are a kind of person that require this. It might be actually one of your core values, right? And so as you're learning how to do this, you might realize like, wow, I really need this. It's important to me. I am going to add this to my life and I'm not going to deviate from it because it's that important to me. Okay, so other things that you can do to become more self-aware and to maintain this on a regular basis are things like yoga. And everybody talks about this now. I know it's a big buzzword, but yoga is a very powerful modality because it links together the mind and body through movement. So you're literally moving your body in kind of a way that's a form of, it's obviously a form of exercise, depending on what kind of yoga you take. But you're also being challenged by whoever's leading you through that experience, or if you're doing it yourself, to open your mind, to create a non-judgmental space for yourself. It's one of the places in life where we can, it takes some practice for sure, but where we can do that, right? It's just you and your mat. Even if you're in a room with 30 people, you're really just focused on yourself. And so that to me, like I told you, I was a little high strung when I was younger. I was hyper and I had a hard time sitting in the room. And if you haven't heard me tell the story before, I didn't want to do yoga. Wasn't interested. To me, I like contact sports. It was boring. I'm a runner. And my acupuncturist told me I needed to take yoga because of all those reasons I already shared. And so I started doing it, but literally the first couple times, just staying in the room for the entire class was my job. That was the challenge for me, just learning how to sit in that room and complete the class. I was so crazy about knowing what time it was. I wanted to look at the clock. I was all over the place. I couldn't open my mind and let all of that go. It took a long time. And now when I go, it's literally quite a spiritual experience for me. It's very different than when I started. I use it for much more for mindfulness and almost spirituality than I do for the physical component. Of course, I get both things, but for the reason why I go is mostly because I need that reset in my brain. I need someone to walk me through that kind of a guided meditation and to also incorporate the postures to drive it home even more. So yoga is another great way to just learn about yourself a little bit more. You have to be patient with this stuff. You have to be kind to yourself and speak lovingly. So identifying those negative thought patterns that some of you did with me when we did the last challenge around negative thinking is going to be really important. And a lot of that stuff is going to come out in this work. And so once you identify them, then it's a matter of like, okay, well, how do I switch those? How do I change those negative thinking patterns into more positive ones so that as I'm walking through life, I'm not continuing to beat myself up, so I can speak to myself like a friend. Taking a look at your daily habits and routines and really transforming them. This is a huge part of becoming more self-aware, and especially for building confidence. We have to transform our daily habits and routines in sobriety. It is just a big part of building that emotional sobriety and confidence. We want to make sure we have regular check-ins with those people that we trust. So those people that you identified as safe people who will give you feedback, those are the people we want to get feedback from kind of regularly. They might be friends, they might also be like professional coworkers, or um, maybe you have a therapist, maybe it's a family member, but just knowing who they are, just checking in regularly with them, I think really helps us to stay on the straight and narrow with our self awareness. And identifying your personal core values, I mentioned when we were talking about the meditation before, those things that are the most important things to you in your whole life. So really identifying those, understanding what they are, why they're important, and then once you know what they are, how do you use them? What do you do with them? And then being in community with other sober women obviously is something that's, I believe, is very, very important, not only for staying sober, but just for living well, because it's really helpful when we are doing life with people who are like-minded. Now, I don't know about you, but I met a lot of sober women in my life, and most of them are not the same, right? We're not the same. They don't have the same stories as me. They don't have the same family lives as me. A lot of them are similar. They have similar, but let me tell you one thing that I can always count on is the feelings. I can relate to the feelings that they share, right? Most of those women that I've talked to know what it feels like to be desperate. They know what it feels like to be um, hurt and experience deep pain. They know what it feels like to not understand or know how to take care of themselves, or how to deal with their emotions. And so that's what I mean when we're in a community with women who are like-minded, who kind of get it. Generally speaking, we're going to have a much better experience and a fulfilling life. We're also going to get more accurate feedback, because they're going to hold us accountable, and they're going to kind of know, like, hey, they're going to kind of call the BS card, right? Like, hey, I think maybe you need to take a look at that. Are you really being honest with yourself? So I want you to challenge yourself, or I'm challenging you to make a list of the tools you can use in your life starting today to support you in becoming that most self aware self that you can be. Who are the supportive and honest people for you? Where do you need a little bit more accountability and support? Where do you feel like you're working on something, but you're struggling with it a little bit, and so you could really use someone kind of coming in the back door sometimes, be like, "Hey, how are things going with that negative thinking pattern challenge that you're doing? Right? How are things going with staying on track with your habits? Someone who's going to kind of keep you accountable when life gets hard, right? And then also support you and give you that loving hand of grace when things go off course, because occasionally they do, right? Occasionally we go off course, and so we need those people to come alongside of us and say, you know what, you got off course this week, and I totally get it. It's time to recorrect. What do we need to do to just get you back on course? All right, so where do we go from here? I know I've been mentioning it all week that you guys are doing incredible work. You have showed up. You have opened your wallets, you have given me your time. You've been here all week to continue to look at yourself and dive in. And what do you do now? So there's going to be a couple things I want to mention to you about where you go from here to work together so that you can build more self-confidence through self-awareness, because you guys have been so motivated, right? You showed up for the lives. You've done the homework, and you've listened to me ramble on for 30 minutes or more every day. You probably even watched the replays a little bit. You've written some stuff down. You might have even gotten some feedback from other people by now. You're just merely at the beginning. You're scratching the surface, because I bet you there's parts of that homework you weren't able to do. Because even if you probably gave up everything you were doing this whole week, like all your responsibilities, and you just did this, there probably would still be things you couldn't get to in just this time, right? So, do you want to keep going? Do you want to continue this momentum that you've had over the past 5 days with all of this content? I know I want that for you, because I know that the best way to make the biggest changes is to follow through with the things that we're working on, right? We set our feet forward, we say, okay, this is what we want to do, and we keep going. And heck, it's a heck of a lot easier to do it with someone leading the way, right? So the path of confidence beyond recovery looks like this, right? The self-awareness mini course is what you just completed. You just finished 5 days of working heavily on yourself with me and other sober women. And so what I decided to do when I was creating this, because this is a huge amount of content, was to build out an opportunity to open your mind and your heart to the kind of questions and actions that it takes to become even more self aware and continue learning more about yourself. Because you would be cutting yourself off from the full scope of what you started if you didn't, right? You might not get back to it. Your notebook might just lay on your desk unopened from here. And then you're just going to be like halfway completed course, right? And I totally get that because I can tell you I have done that more times than I would like to admit. I've sat through webinars and classes, I've listened and learned, and I've put a lot of effort in because I usually am a pretty big go-getter. And then there's times when I didn't follow through. And you know what? I didn't get the results I was looking for. And sometimes I want to point the finger and be like, oh, I did that webinar and they totally didn't, they lied. They didn't tell me the truth. They didn't give me my results. Well, when I really get honest, like I didn't follow through with what I was supposed to do. But those times when I have committed to it, when I've taken the suggestions that were given to me by the people who were leading me, that I trust in my life, those were the times when I grew, when I changed, and when my recovery really benefited. So if you want to continue working together in a group way, just like we've been doing for the next 4 weeks, that is what I'm offering. We're going to come together for like an hour and a half every Monday evening. So there won't be any like work conflicts. But of course, if you have something going on Monday night, it's all recorded. Don't worry. I'll never leave you hanging. So we can keep plugging along together on what you guys have already started because it's a lot. And I'll leave that Facebook group open and we'll have literally 4 weeks together of group coaching. Okay. So if you love what we've been doing, that's the next logical step, right? Is to continue the work so that you don't lose momentum. Probably going to open it up to some of the people in our group that haven't done the mini course because I got a lot of interest from people who said they couldn't do it for this, that, or the other thing, but maybe they want to join us for group coaching. Okay. So we're going to open that up for 4 weeks. And then the Sober Freedom Inner Circle membership is the next thing after that in the funnel, right? The next step. So it's open now. If you are a person that you are like, I want to join the inner circle right now, like I immediately want to get into, you can totally join the Sober Freedom Inner Circle right now and just get all of the content. All of my content is in there on building emotional sobriety, as well as group coaching once a month from me. And then I bring in another guest expert. They're always sober women therapists to come in and talk about a topic that relates to what's going on in my membership. They come in once a month and they're all recorded. They all live in there. And then we always are adding new content. Like this mini course will probably be added, or not probably, it will be added to the Sober Freedom Inner Circle for those members who join us, at a later time. So that is another step. So you have two choices, or you can do both. So 4 weeks of group coaching, continuing on what we've done now in this exact format, only it's going to be in the evening. So to make sure that more people have access. And then Sober Freedom Inner Circle is open now. It's $37 a month. It's accessible to you. You get full access to all the content for as long as you're a member. And it's open right now. It has its own private Facebook group as well. It has those guest experts that come in and talk to you guys and share on content that relates to the content in the membership. So we've had a lot of really great guests. I am always excited when I find great women to work with because people are so generous with their time too. I love it. They love to come in and train. We've talked about codependency. We've talked about intense trust in yourself. We've talked about boundaries. And I even had a lady just train on using fashion to build up our self-esteem and our confidence. So there's a variety of different topics, a variety of different people and speakers. It's not only just me. And there's going to always be stuff being added on the way. So those things that I mentioned already, like reducing your negative thinking patterns, transforming your habits and your routines, understanding your personal core values, and really connecting with your spiritual side, right? Developing a spiritual program are all the big components of the Sober Freedom Inner Circle. So the links are both there. The group coaching link is kind of odd, but that's the way the platform does it. They don't let you choose a customized link for this for some reason. So it's shelbyjohn.com/offers/RYUDRZTV. Sorry about that. I asked. They don't have a customized link for that. I'll drop it in the group. And the Sober Freedom Inner Circle is always shelbyjohncoaching.com/inner circle. So if there's any questions, I'll take them now, and I'm happy to answer them because I know I've shared with you a lot. I just don't want anybody to stop. I don't want you pumping the brakes right now and being like, okay, I got what I needed. I showed up. I did all the things, but I'm not really going to finish the work, right? I'm not really going to finish it because I think I've gotten enough, because there's so much more that's available to us. There's so much more to do. So if you want to jump in now, it's a great time. Group coaching and or Sober Freedom Inner Circle, both of them are accessible to you. I'm going to be on live tomorrow as well at 12 to make sure that anybody has any questions, I can answer them, and to just be able to provide even more feedback and support along the way. If anybody has any questions now, I'm happy to take them. If not, I'm going to close out, and I'll make sure that I post this in the group as quickly as I can get it converted. And I'll also send it out in your email with all the links. It has been my pleasure to work with you over the last 5 days, building self-awareness. It was so fun being able to do some of these exercises myself as I was planning out this content and building it for you. And I can't wait to get more feedback from you about what your feelings are about it and what you're learning and the experiences that you've had along the way, because that's how I make things even better for all the women, and just being able to meet your needs in as many ways as I can. Okay, so I'm going to close out if there's no questions, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Shelby.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
giving it.
You're welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the group.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.